Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the International Resource Centre for Performing Artists. Today, we blast away the November blahs in conversation with playwright, novelist, and musician Tomson Highway. Welcome, Tomson, and thank you for making time for us today. I will admit that learning that you were a pianist as well as an incredible writer was news to me, even though I too did a piano degree at Western. Obviously, I have not been reading my alumni newsletter. I was before your time, though. We have a wide range of listeners today, and they are all eager to hear your insights and experience. Some of your listeners are seasoned professionals, both performers and managers, and some of them have just graduated from training and studies, and they need to hear what their potential next steps can be and should be, both normally and now. Being prepared is vital, and no more so when the unknowns they are facing as newly minted artists have been compounded by this global pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I recommend speaker view so that Tomson fills your screen when he is speaking to us. And if you have questions, please answer them in the chat. Click on the chat button on the scroll bar at the bottom, and I'll be facilitating questions at the end of the conversation. We are also recording this conversation for posting on the IRCPA website at a later date. Thank you, and let's begin.
Faith, humor, a tremendous amount of humor. It helps that my first language, has only become my fourth language now. It's been pushed back. I didn't speak it as a child. My parents didn't speak a word of it. They spoke other native languages, including Inuktitut, because we were so far north back then that we lived with the Inuit. And but now I speak these languages, and I love it tremendously. And the point was that every step of the way, it's just been the most wonderful support that I've gotten from people at faith and belief, and like I say, my dad taught me how to work very, very hard, and I still work very hard. I'm sitting on my computer right now writing a book, and
That's fantastic.
if you're nice to me, I might put you into the next chapter and buy you a drink,
Oh,
or what, or even better than that, I'll find you a man
oh, but I have one.
that you can have too.
There you go. So, did music and words come simultaneously to you, or was music always first?
uh, I think it was simultaneous. See, my problem was that I had blockage at school. If there is such a term. Uh, sounds like some kind of disease. It sounds like constipation. It was a kind of constipation. Uh, but I see, I didn't speak English. And so when I went to school, we had to, being Manitoba, it was English speaking school.
Yes.
So grade one, we didn't have any kindergarten. Grade one, I didn't speak a word of English, and so I had to learn the English word by word by word by word. And with the way the English language is structured, you practically have to memorize every word, to master the language, which it took me about 15 years, slave labor, I must say, to master the language, and then I moved on to other languages after that. But I grew up in a territory where the Dene Nation met the Cree Nation, two drastically opposite, different languages, and from two different linguistic family. Dene would be like Arabic, Cree would be like English. That's how much
Oh, I
similarity
see. Wow.
they come from two totally different linguistic families, and so we had to learn Dene from the cradle. And so we grew up bilingual in two native languages from age 3, 4, 5, 6. And so by the time I was in school at age 6, and I started learning English, that was already my third language. And then because we were Roman Catholics, it was a Roman Catholic school that was run by nuns and priests. I got roped into being an altar boy, and because I have a dreadful voice now. I just have a horrible, horrible voice. But when I was an altar boy, I was a soprano. I was a
Oh,
voice
okay.
soprano, and I was so good at it that they would consider, they seriously considered uh, making me into a castrato. Fortunately, my parents were against the idea,
Excellent.
and I still have my essentials. So we say my unmentionables.
Yes.
And but my voice unfortunately is really bad. But I was so my first challenge was to learn the language, and in order to do that, you have to read a lot, the English language. You have to read a lot, and you have to write a lot. And I was really bad at it. It was my weakest subject in school, and I was determined to master it, to make it my best course. And I eventually, it took me 15 years to get there, but I did eventually.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I
And
mean,
that's
that's a journey on its own,
yeah,
just that
right.
linguistic.
Extraordinary journey. And now, but what that does is the fundamental gift that that gives you is when you're bilingual or trilingual from age 4 or age 2, there's a muscle in the brain or a group of muscles in the brain that are put there by the powers that be to absorb sound.
Yes.
Language and music are sound, right? And
Yes.
so when you have that, when you exercise those muscles from a very young age, they're by the time you're 15, they're fit as a fiddle and ready to absorb all these
More.
other languages. So I travel the world, and I've been to 63 countries so far. And wherever I am, whether it's for vacation or work, I make an effort to learn the basics, like please, thank you.
Yes.
Do you speak parla italiano, per esempio? In
Mm.
italiano, in Italia posso parlare italiano anche, or etc. etc. And I've tried that. I've done that in a number of languages. When I do a lecture, I get a local friend to translate. I write a speech in English or French,
Hmm.
and I get a local friend to translate it for me into Finnish, Czech, Polish, Japanese, Arabic, and so on and so forth. And I do, I'm just about a page long and of the basics. Thank you so much for inviting me here, ladies and
Hmm.
gentlemen. Grazie mille da aver invitarmi qui in la bella città di Roma, per esempio, that kind of stuff. And so it gave me that ability. And as an altar boy, I learned Latin from age 6. And so by the time I was 11, when the Pope changed the liturgy, and Latin was dropped, but I still have my Latin, and because as a classically trained musician, I have my Italian.
Of course.
Like allegretto
Mm.
allegro con brio, presto con fuoco,
Sure.
poco, poco, andante cantabile, andante sostenuto, etc., etc. And so it's just been a tremendously uh, fun journey to be able to speak all these languages
Oh,
today.
that's amazing. So
Yeah.
then from high school, you went direct, you auditioned and went directly into music?
So my teacher, William Aid, who, who took extraordinary care of me, uh, went on sabbatical, and he went to England to study with a master for that year. And I would have been miserable if I stayed in one place. So I asked him if I could come along. Man, I'll never forget that huge favor. And I've done my best to say thank you in my own way, with my own life.
So he
And
took you with him.
he took me with him. So I studied for a year in London, England, and then I came back and finished my third year at University of Manitoba. And then he got transferred. He got a job at the University of Western Ontario, Faculty of Music, as a piano teacher,
Hmm.
a piano professor. And he took two of his favorite students with him, two of his best students, shall we say. And that was me and this beautiful young, well, at the time she was young, Mennonite girl, Mennonite woman. And so we came to London together and Ontario, and studied there. And that's when I became an Ontarian and an Easterner. And I've never really
Right.
gone back since. I go every year, twice a year to visit,
Right.
but to live here, I now live in Quebec, and I'll probably be here for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. So then
Mhm.
when you finished your music degree, what happened next?
Well, I had this extraordinary because I got a degrees in music, and I studied my major was always major. My major my major was always music, and my minor was always English literature because I still hadn't my master's, and I was studying Shakespeare and Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge and James Joyce and Ernest Hemingway and all the
Oh, yeah.
rest of it, right? And it was an amazing journey. I loved every single second of it. I worked very hard, got very high marks, and so when I got my degree, I was feeling guilty because I go up north all the time to northern Manitoba, and I passed through Winnipeg a lot, and I saw my people out in the streets, and I knew they were having difficulty and there were hard times, and with this extraordinary education that I had, I inside told me that I should try to help a situation. So I became a social worker.
I
And
saw that.
for
For
7
7 years?
for 7 years, I didn't touch a piano. I started at age 23 and finished at age 30. And
Wow.
and that's another aspect of my life that I think is extremely valuable to know about. I think every artist, this is my heartfelt belief that every artist should take 3 or 4 years out of their lives and what's the word, roll their sleeves up and go and work in the muck for 3, 4 years and work with
Mm.
street people and work with homeless and refuges for refuge. homes
Right.
for women victims of violence, so that kind of work, just hands-on work with real life. And that taught me a tremendous amount. It gives you an enormous heart, an enormous understanding, an enormous amount of patience and love for others. And so that was the lesson that was taught me again, yet again. You, the key to happiness is to think of others, always to think of others first before you think of yourself. And that's what the 7 years of social work taught me. That
Oh,
fundamental.
my soul, yes.
Yeah. And once you start thinking of yourself first and others second, that's the key to unhappiness.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I would agree with you. That's
And,
phenomenal.
and misery. Yeah.
So, did you find, I mean, that was obviously an incredibly touching experience and a real experience, but it also seems to have really inspired you with what came next.
Well, that's exactly it for artists that I'm talking about, who should take 3, 4 years out of their lives to do that kind of work, because it inspires you. It gives you stories, it gives you experiences to write about, and in some cases, some very passionate stories. And yeah, it opens your mind, your heart, and your mind out to a whole world of wonders, emotional and psychological wonders in the human heart, shall we say? And it gives you fodder for your work, for your
Yeah,
painting,
yeah.
for your writing, for your plays, for your operas, for your films.
So, in a sense, those years were a mentor in themselves for
I
you.
call it the School of Hypnosis.
Hmm.
And I was knocked about the politics of horrendous, kind of like they are everywhere. And unfortunately, and well, human beings have a certain genius for torturing each other, I'll have to say. Uh, and I'm sure you've seen that here and there all over the place. And to learn how to deal with that, to learn how to deal with those punches, to get knocked down and get back up again and keep fighting, you know, it's
And to
just,
watch those people do it and to help them do it is something
yeah.
else too.
Oh my gosh, you don't even want to talk at the international level. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are so
You don't
lucky
want to go
here.
because it's just so horrendous. I travel the world, and one of my favorite things about traveling is well, I guess my favorite thing about traveling is you realize over and over and over again that the world is filled with wonderful, fantastic people. We lived in France for the 14 years, for instance. Ça, j'ai maîtrisé finalement français, per esempio, that's Italian, uh, par exemple. Et, and the French have a certain reputation. As we all know, a travel book once described them as having a superiority complex. Now, I don't want to insult my French friends because I love them way too much. But the 14 years there and in this beautiful village on the Mediterranean coast, close to the Spanish border, the Pyrenees, hiking the Pyrenees
Mm.
is amazing for 14 years. Um, was You learn very quickly that despite this reputation that France has there in the country itself, there are individuals with extraordinary personalities, with huge hearts, and so we were we were absorbed into at least
Hmm.
5 families in that village over the 14 years we were there, and we love them to this very day, and we will always love them forever. They changed our lives, and they loved us to death, and so that was another kind of love I am infinitely grateful for.
And what did you do artistically in those 14 years?
I wrote. I
Yes.
wrote books. I wrote plays. I wrote music. I wrote songs. I wrote cabarets. I was very busy.
Oh,
They gave
that's
me a piano. They loaned me a piano. Our best friends there loaned me a piano. We were on there for 6 months of the year, but the other 6 months in Canada. But they loaned me a piano, an electric keyboard, and I wrote there. I put the piano in such a way that it was facing the floor to ceiling glass windows with a terrasse avec une terrasse qui tombait sur la mer with the downhill and then the sea, the Mediterranean Sea. And I swear to God, in the morning when I play the piano, it's a morning exercise that I do. It's a kind of prayer for me. Playing music in the morning that's my form of prayer. The seagulls would come and dance over our
mm.
terrace to my music. Those kinds of miraculous experiences. And then another thing about living in France that I just absolutely adored was that that village where it was only 3 hours away. It was a village, and we loved being country people. But 3 hours away by train from Barcelona, because the border was right there, right?
Right.
I'd head to Spain all the time. I'd have to go hiking with my passport. Um, we go to Barcelona at least twice a month, go hang out, go party. And Barcelona is probably one of the most spectacular European cities out there. So having access, and then later on we get meet friends, and we started using doing apartment exchanges. So we'd stay for a week,
Oh,
and
yes.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Beautiful.
So in those years and through the thing, did you have a mentor, like mentors, either writers or musicians?
My writing, my musicians, right, mentors. Uh, yeah, I've always had mentors. People helping me, people holding my hand. My partner, first of all, is a mentor, my spiritual mentor. He guides me in making decisions that are difficult to make. That,
Hmm.
like for instance, like my father was like that too. My spiritual, I have three spiritual guides, angels I call them. They're all deceased. My father and my mother, who was the funniest woman alive, and my younger brother, who was a dancer, Renee Howard.
Renee, yes.
He was 35. Today's his birthday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, really?
He's 66 today. Uh, and uh, so I dream about them all the time, regularly. You know, we all dream about the dead. Eh? They come to us. I think of the human dream as a visiting room between the living and the dead.
Ah, yes.
And we visit each other regularly, and we talk and we cry and we laugh in those dreams. And very interesting these days with all these languages that I speak, that the language varies in those dreams depending on who I'm with and where I am. It's
Okay.
fantastic. I knew that I had learned Italian when I started dreaming in Italian. We lived after France. We lived for in Italy for 6 years,
Yes.
and now first in Rome for 3 years, and then in Napoli,
My, so.
Naples, and which is where the pandemic caught up to us last year, right?
Mm,
We had to cut our stay short by 2 weeks
right.
and flee back to Canada, literally,
Yeah,
with thousands of other foreigners.
that's
So
right. Ann
they were,
Summers among them.
they were canceling flights, they were closing borders, and there was a general panic and changing plane tickets and fighting with the airlines to try to get our money back, all that stuff, right? Yeah,
Right.
we made it back safe and sound, and here I am.
That's great. Now, I have to admit, I don't know your music very well. Can you describe to me what your musical genre is, or is there a fluidity about it?
There, there is, don't, I don't know. No, I can't describe it. Let's put it this way: my music's indescribable. Isn't that great? My next CD
What are the elements in it?
you know how, what's the word that guy my memory is not working today. Natalie Cole, her dad, Nat King Cole,
Yes.
that song Unforgettable.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to write a song called Indescribable, and it'll be about you.
Well, so
I know I think they would call it world music these days. You should have a listen. I'm on iCloud.
okay.
Sounds funny.
Everybody take that into account.
Sounds,
Tomson Highway on iCloud.
yeah, and there's also a mechanism on my website whereby you can buy the CDs, and that's where they're on sale. And but yeah, you can listen to me on iCloud.
Are you still writing? Are you still writing music?
I'm writing right now. I'm writing a book. I told you, I'm writing a book about you.
In general.
In general, of course, I'm always busy with something. I don't like to talk about my work because there's so much of it. I'm just having a great time. I'm writing a book. I'm writing two musicals, little ones, like a children's musical, for instance. And it's just been so good, so good, so good, so good.
Now,
I get
I
to do
know that you are one of the most positive people on the planet, but it helps our artists if they know if they're going to hit a setback or something, how people like you have dealt with that. Have you had setbacks that you have either walked around?
I was telling them the other day, I've had many setbacks. You just don't know about them. No, people don't know about them because I don't talk about them. Because I don't have, well, to tell you the truth, I have no time to think about them. Okay. I'm too busy doing other things. I'm too busy having a great time, too busy laughing. Laughing is my favorite activity. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say about language. Cree is the funniest language on earth. First and you start to laugh, and hysterical laughter. It's the funniest language in the world. Just the rhythm of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, and so which is why laughing comes so naturally to me. I always like to say that I share a birthday. The reason I laugh so much, I can laugh myself to death. That's probably how I'll die. Is I share. The reason is because I share. Another reason is because I share a birthday with the king of laughter.
Who
Now,
is?
question being, who is the king of laughter and when is his birthday? King of laughter, somebody who laughs a lot. I'll give you a hint. Ho, ho, ho.
Santa Claus?
Yes. And whose predecessor, his antecedent is Saint Nicholas.
Yes.
That was my birthday is Saint Nicholas Day. And now
Okay.
you're probably not a Catholic, right? Are you a
No,
Catholic?
I'm not.
That's your mistake, you see. Catholics are usually better than Protestants, just so you know. But we know one of the differences between Catholics and non-Catholics is we know our saints' days. Every day of the year, like, okay, when is St. Patrick's Day?
March
When is,
17th.
yeah, when is St. Valentine's Day?
It's February 14th.
Yeah, exactly. And so on and so forth. Every day.
Yes.
Here it's St. Jean Baptiste Day. And when is that?
July 14th.
That's ah, that's Bastille Day.
That's BD. All right.
That's France. That's a French holiday.
Right.
Quebec is Saint June 24th.
June 24th.
Instead of
Okay.
Saint Jean-Baptiste Day. And here in Quebec, it's really like Canada Day.
Yeah.
Everybody gets drunk and oh, it's so much fun.
Ah,
Anyway,
so let's get back. I need you to help. I need you
December
to.
the 6th, December the 6th is St. Nicholas Day, and that's my birthday.
That's your birthday. Everybody will celebrate.
Oh, ho, ho.
So let's give these artists a little bit of advice.
Oh, yeah, but setbacks,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think one of the most, probably my favorite, my most inspirational quotation from from Canadian history is Terry Fox when he said, it is not supposed to be easy. And that's the way it is. The more difficult it is, and I add humbly to that in brackets to that Terry Fox citation in brackets, I write, if it's easy, it's probably not worth doing. That's what I'd say. And so the harder the climb, the more exciting the journey, and the more exhilarating the arrival at the summit. See, and that's how I live. I have I work very hard, and I have many setbacks, and I don't let it get me down. And because if every one of them had been a victory, like a stunning victory, you know, now you like one doesn't want to talk disrespectfully about the dead, but you look at people like artists like Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, even John Lennon, who had artistic careers that the rest of us can only dream about.
Mm-hmm.
And look where it got them.
Yeah.
Do you want to go there? No, I don't. I just my dream is to be a happy man. That's my dream, my ambition, and it takes certain things to make me happy. And one of them is music. One of them is laughter. One of them is love. You know all that stuff.
Right.
But to be so famous that you can't put your foot out the door,
No, that's no
like
good.
it would be a nightmare.
But what you're talking about with the climb and
Mhm.
and the challenges, that's setting us up
You
to
were just
achievement, and achievement after achievement, even if it's teeny, that makes you happy.
of course it does. Yes. But I also like to be quiet for long stretches of time. It doesn't sound good, but I'll say it anyway. To have others people's successes make you happy. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
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 To see that you're climbing with that in the context of a community. You're
Mm-hmm.
not by yourself. You're in a community, and what you do inspires other people, and what other people do inspire you. And then, of course, that's not always the case, though, unfortunately, because there's such a
Right.
thing as well, you don't even want to go there, but the word begins with J,
Hmm.
uh, jealousy. You encounter that a lot. The equation seems to be the more successful you are, the more you attract. Unfortunately, one of the unfortunate side effects of success is jealousy.
Yes.
The more successful you are, the more this is an expression. You know, more the pair with the crabs. The other crabs are in the pail, and every time one crab is almost successful in climbing out the pail, the other crabs pull him
Pulling
down.
back.
That applies everywhere. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. Everybody experiences that at some point or other.
Sure. And so that's why the positivity is so important.
Yep.
Okay, let's shift a little bit to a more local topic. When was the
Okay.
last time you visited Corktown in Toronto?
Well, these days I haven't been to Toronto. Not, I can't go to Toronto.
Yeah.
But you're in Liverpool, Nova Scotia,
No, I'm from there, but I'm in Toronto at the moment. Sorry.
right? Okay. Yeah. Are you in Corktown?
No,
Yeah.
no,
Where are you?
I'm up in Runnymede and St. Clair, but Corktown is a growing place these days. There's a ton of
Tell me
people.
about it. Tell me about it. I go when times are normal. I usually go down about 5 times a year.
Okay.
I still work. I get lots of work in Toronto.
Okay.
and more in Montreal too, in
Right.
French.
So you used
And
to live there though, and you told
York,
Andy you used to
oh,
bike
three
down to
years.
Cherry Beach and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived there for only 3 years on Shooter
Okay.
Street. Yeah.
So did you know that the IRCPA, who's hosting this today, and Corktown residents are trying to get the Dominion Foundry building to turn it
And
into a
Christina
musician's
told me
place?
all about it. Yes.
Yeah. So
It's,
what do you think about that idea?
I think it's incredible. I think it's fantastic. I think it's I think artists, the more space there is out there for artists to create, the better, the healthier the society. That's just that community is, and we need that space so desperately. And don't turn it down. Don't tear it down. Like, man, there's so many downtowns that have been destroyed.
Yes.
The advance of uh, what's the word? Consumerism. Yeah?
Hmm.
Like I went to high school in Winnipeg, and back in the late 60s, Winnipeg downtown Portage Avenue was actually a
Yep.
nice place. It was fun. We used to hang out and go from bar to bar to bar to bar. And now that's all gone. It's all gone. It's just one great big mall. And I was there doing a contract with the Manitoba Theatre Center, and I needed a new pair of shoes. And in the old days, you could just walk around the corner and get a new pair of shoes. Now you have to take the bus. I didn't have a car. Take the bus all the way to Polo Park to find a
Right.
shoe,
Yeah.
and that's a long way.
It is a
And
long way.
yeah, it's so it's and it's got no character. It's a cemetery, downtown Winnipeg, and I don't hesitate to say this. When downtown Winnipeg has become a cemetery.
It's a shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But Corktown is still alive. And so doing something
and
like
hopefully
this,
we don't want that to happen in Cork Town. We don't want to build a mall on Queen Parliament and Shooter.
yeah. Yeah. Or anywhere near the lake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, oh yeah, take advantage of the presence of the lake, the water, and just enjoy yourself and be Corktowners. No, I think it's an extraordinary idea. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Now, how would you
Okay.
advise young artists who are just starting out at this
I would say,
point?
forget it. There's no point.
Oh,
No, I would say, I don't like people telling. I don't. That's one thing I'm not good at, is telling people what to do. That's why directing as a playwright, I tried directing a couple of times, and I can do it just adequately, but it's not my talent. And one of the reasons why I didn't like it was because I didn't like telling people what to do. But directors should be very forceful. They have to be like bossing people around. Hey, go here, go there, smile, frown, blah. That's not directing. You don't talk like that as a director, but like that kind of dynamic. And so an actor will come to a director and say, "What is my motivation here? Like, where do I go emotionally with this line?" And my response would be, do whatever the hell you want. That would be my direction, and that's a terrible direction to give. So I don't. What was the question again?
what advice would you give to young
Yeah,
artists just
that's,
starting out?
yeah, exactly. Work hard. Don't let things get you down. Get a really good education. Read a lot. Study. Think. Listen to a lot of music. Go to a lot of concerts. Live music is really an inspiration. Live theater. Where I live in Naples, we go to the opera.
Yeah.
The Il Teatro San Carlo. It's like one of the great opera houses of the world. So we live 20 minutes walk away from there and just walk down the hill and go to the opera. We see so much there, and
So for
just
the next year, that may not be possible, but
study, work hard, and have a lot
yeah,
of faith.
right.
Yeah.
So you're saying follow your heart, climb those mountains,
Mhm.
do all those things.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Would you have any different or additional advice for young Indigenous artists?
Um, well, I think it's applicable to everybody. Uh, there's only, the past is the past. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't change it. It's
Hmm.
too late. All you have to is today and tomorrow. And in my case, both look pretty damn good. Yeah? And that's all I have is what I have today. It's going to be a great day. The weather here today is exquisite, and it's going to be a great day. I'm just going to have a fantastic day. And I sincerely believe there are moments when I sincerely believe that I'll be dead by midnight tonight, which gives me only 12 hours to laugh. I only have
There.
12 hours
I
to
love
laugh.
that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm going to laugh all day. I have grandchildren waiting for me outside. Yeah, we're eating outside today. It's nice. And we did a barbecue. that's why I was late coming here because I was
Okay.
cooking and whatever. It's just now they're eating without me because of you.
I'm so sorry. Not.
Anyway, so are we almost finished?
Yes, we are. I had one
Yeah.
more question. You've written about a lot of important issues affecting First Nations.
Mhm.
Do you sense any positive forward shift in the attitudes of the Canadian public about First Nations at this point?
A shift. Yes, there's been a shift. In the old days, when I was young and when I was young and foolish like you,
I love
I
that.
I went to high school in Winnipeg, and I went to Churchill High School, which is in down so close to the city center, in a very white middle class at the time neighborhood, and all 2,000 students were white as they looked like parchment. They were so white. Uh, they looked like gunpowder. That's how
Oh,
white they were, and they looked explosive. Anyway, uh, and there were only two native kids in that school. Me and this other kid who was in grade 7. He was junior in high school, and I whatever, and that was it. And now I went back recently. I go back. I go home twice a year.
yeah.
Once in December and once in August every year to see my family. And I stop. I do a little tour: Winnipeg, Tomson, the Paw, Leaf Rapids, Brochet, and sometimes, and then I had to go to Saskatchewan, so I was just Saskatoon, Prince Albert, etc. Because I have a huge family over there. And just to see that I have. Now, what was the question again?
Have you sensed a shift in the
Oh
Canadian
yes,
public?
yes. Yes. And now, so I pass through Winnipeg all the time, and I've been to my school. I actually did an interview in the school about 5 years ago, and my God, the difference! Every single color of the rainbow in that school, black from pitch black to like ghost white, and every color in between, super multicultural. And so that's a huge change for me, a shocking change, a beautifully shocking change for me. And then, of course, the other thing that's really affected the Canadian landscape with immigration policies is the food. You know, back in those days, there was hamburgers and French fries and roast beef. Remember hot roast beef sandwiches?
Yes, I do,
Ooh,
with peas and
yeah.
gravy. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Oh, and soggy peas at that. Eh?
Yes.
That was Canadian cuisine. But look at it now.
Hmm.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. It's spectacular. Yeah.
Now, if we could only shift all the
And
politics to match the
we're
food.
all part of that shift. You know, we're all contributing step by step. When I was when I was in high school, there was no such thing as native Canadian literature in this country.
Right.
In fact, there was precious little Canadian literature back then, even Canadian literature. And Margaret Atwood and people like that changed that. But so we came along and we changed that too. And now we have a thriving industry that is and a thriving voice that is heard the whole world over.
Yes.
You're waiting for our next books in Japan, in France, in Australia, in Russia, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
final question.
That didn't exist before.
What? So you're writing a novel. Just tell us 2 or 3 things you're doing right now that we can look forward to seeing.
Oh dear. No, I can't because I have a way of jinxing stuff. You know,
Okay. No, I understand that.
start talking about bragging about something, and then the director dies, or a pandemic comes along and cancels. I lost about 5 shows with this pandemic.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
That's milk. What's that expression? Milk under the water.
Water under the bridge.
That's it. That's it. Spilled milk under the bridge. And one of my favorite expressions is to make a snap decision. It means when white people make a snap decision. I joke a lot about white people because I love them so much. And the proof behind that is I've been sleeping with the same one for 36 years.
There
So
we
there
are.
you go. The fact that I love white people. Anyway, one of my favorite expressions is when white people make a snap decision, they jump off a cliff into a cold turkey.
Well, I personally am going to be waiting for your second novel.
Well, I hope that I hope that's just it. I hope it finishes. I hope I can finish it. B, and I hope the publisher doesn't die. You know,
Yeah.
and C, I hope we don't get another pandemic. You know,
We
whatever.
can all hope for that.
We can all hope for that. And thank you so much for talking to me. You're a wonderful woman.
Well,
and I'm sure you've heard it before. So why am I telling you?
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. You have been so generous. We appreciate all your stories. and your information, and those, you know, it's the whole positive, climb those mountains, and if the mountains are out there, go find them. That's what you said, really.
Yeah.
So to that end, I'm going to say that this gives everyone a deeper sense of what is possible and what you need to do to go forward. And many arts organizations are making big contributions to our cultural life, and they need your support. So I'm going to encourage you to encourage people around you to make whatever small donations they can to the arts organizations that matter, including IRCPA. It always punches above its weight, and it's trying so hard to make an artist center for you at the Foundry. So visit ircpa.net/donate. And thank you again, Tomson Highway. It has been a great pleasure to talk to you. And we wish you all the best for the rest of the year.
And same to you. I hope that you live to be 150 years old.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's hope there's something to make that a real vital opportunity. From the IRCPA to all of you, thank you very much. Stay healthy and safe. And bye-bye for now. Take good care.
Bye.